This is our PowerPoint presentation that we have been showing at various community meetings, and we put it on a gallery walk for our first community meeting tonight. And the second slide is a real critical part. It shows our work from the Visioning Conference in August of 2015. And you'll notice in the center is the whole child emphasis. Then on the upper right-hand piece, and we'll go around in clockwise fashion, is relevant in empowering learning experiences, educational equity, which talks about achievement gaps that we have in the community, or that we have in our school community. And then one of the most important items is strong family and consumer and community partnerships. That was the #1 item in our Visioning Conference. And then lastly, caring and professional educators is the top piece of the what we value puzzle. These what we value statements identify how we live our mission in the Oregon School District. A sentence that I'd like to point out is the last one. The most significant factor in student achievement is an effective educator. That's what this recurring referendum is all about, putting the very best teacher in every classroom in the district. At the second station, this is a summary of our calendar that we've worked on the Educator Compensation Plan. You'll notice it starts back in January of 2013 when the board formed a task force committee to work on the plan. We spent about 2 years working on the plan. Then in January of 2015, we sent a survey to all district residents. And our next slide, I'll walk through the results of those survey. Then in August of 2015, we held a visioning conference where over 130 community members and school staff came and got together to plan for what our district's going to look like for the next 10 years. One of the interesting points, a top priority from the Visioning Conference was educator compensation. In spring of 2016, the committee, which started back in 2013, finished their report and made a recommendation to the school board. Then between the spring of 2016 and the summer, the board looked at the plan, made a few revisions. We again went out to all of our school staff and to some community groups to get their feedback, and we came up with one final plan that the board ultimately approved unanimously on a 7-0 vote in August. That plan is really what the referendum is about in terms of dollars and cents and process. And now we're waiting for November 8th when the community has an opportunity to vote on that plan. When we look back to what we learned from the survey, we had just under 1,000 respondents. 66% of our parents and 46% of our non-parents responded to one particular question that said they believe an educator compensation plan in the district should be increased. We thought that was a positive piece of feedback. We also had some feedback that wasn't quite so positive. We were told the 2015 plan was simply too expensive. It also needed to increase the accountability provision in the plan, and that we as a school district have not provided enough information to the entire community. So those three pieces we have folded into all of our work since January of 2015. This is station number 3, and we have 2 slides, one on committee focus areas and then one on the new educator compensation plan. Our committee that started back in 2013 had 4 main areas. First, the goal was to retain our existing staff and also have a compensation plan that would attract and develop the very best possible educators for all of our classrooms. We also knew, based on the feedback that we received, we needed to improve our accountability measures. And by that, I mean our evaluation process and making sure that if a teacher wasn't advancing properly, we'd work with them on a plan of improvement and advance them so that every classroom had a teacher of a similar skill level. Another key piece was, is it affordable for taxpayers? We know we could come up with the best plan and if it's not affordable, it's not going to work. We could come up with a super low-cost plan, and if it doesn't achieve our objectives with teaching and professional development, that won't work. So we needed a plan that would improve student achievement and also be affordable for the taxpayers. And another piece was sustainability. Initially, when the committee was looking at a few plans, they had some concerns because it would be so expensive that after a 4 or 5 year period, the plan would be no longer sustainable. This new plan is sustainable because we're taking some of the district funds along with money that will come from the referendum, putting that together and starting with that as a plan. In terms of the educator compensation plan, the specific pieces, all teachers would be required to move through various professional development sequences, and that is a key to their advancement. Secondarily, one of the pieces that we've heard from our teachers, they want to make sure that there's a path forward and a path for them to progress and earn additional funds. I've already talked about the accountability measure, which was a key part both for our teachers and for the community. All teachers in the district would receive an additional 5 contract days. Those 5 contract days are really focused on professional development that would occur outside the school year, so over the summer months. We know our teacher compensation plan has to be competitive. We are the last district in Dane County. At one time, we were the first district in Dane County in 2013 to work on a new plan. Now we're the last district to have a plan, so we're under somewhat of a pressure because most of our competition for teachers is right here in Dane County. And a key piece that underpins everything, our plan has been supported by our visioning conference, our new strategic plan, and a recent board paper that the board had written that was published, that we have published on our website, and there are many articles about it. Today was the lead article in the Oregon Observer about it. This is station number 4, and we spend a little more time going into some of the details of the plan, and additionally, why a new plan is necessary. So I'll start with a few more details on the plan. Our plan really has 4 different levels and what I would call 2 columns. One of the columns identifies teachers that have a bachelor's degree. Another column has teachers that have a master's degree. Those are really the 2 paths that teachers are on in our new professional development plan. And then there's 4 different professional levels within the bachelor's degree and within the master's degree. In terms of advancement occurs in one of 2 ways: earning a master's degree or earning something that's called a National Board Certification, which is issued by the Department of Education. And then the most important piece are professional development sequences. We prepared professional development sequences for all teachers that perhaps may be focused on personalized learning, perhaps focused on our new curriculum for K-6 math, which is called Bridges Math, or reading or literacy at all levels in the district. A second item for advancement is performance evaluation. All teachers, including myself, are on performance evaluation plans, and that's a 3-year plan where a teacher will work with their school principal or another administrator. So in order to advance, a teacher would need to obtain a satisfactory performance evaluation. And then lastly, all of us that have a license with DPI need to renew our license on a periodic basis. So in order to be successfully moving forward in the compensation plan, teachers will need to maintain their Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction license. In terms of why the plan is necessary, this is a question we've been asked numerous times, because what changed that caused this? Well, in 2011, Act 10 eliminated collective bargaining across the state of Wisconsin. With that, our salary schedule was eliminated. So we really have not had a salary schedule since 2011. And as I mentioned before, in Dane County, all school districts have adopted a new compensation plan with the exception of us. Another pressing fact on us is the teacher shortage in Wisconsin. There's really a looming teacher shortage. Sometimes we don't feel it as much in all of our teaching license areas, but still in Dane County, we feel some teacher shortages, particularly with speech and language teachers, some special education teachers, some science and math, clearly with our technology education teachers as well. One of the things that we've learned, and we've been studying this for several years, since the 2008 school year, approximately 30% less high school students going to college or second career teachers are going into the field of education. That is going to have a dramatic effect, and now that's almost 8 to 9 years ago. We're already seeing a shortage in some of our teaching discipline areas, and we anticipate that to continue. Additionally, in the 2013-14 year, just under 5,000 teachers left the profession. What we've learned is new teachers, if they make it to year 6 and they enjoy teaching, they're likely to become a career teacher. A lot of teachers are leaving in that after their first year, their second year, or their third year. We also know with that group of teachers, the 5,000 that left, more than half of them were under the age of 50, which means they've moved out of the education field, and it's quite likely they're not going to return. This is station number 5, and this addresses some funding issues and some funding pressures that we have. I've heard from a few community members, this plan sounds great, why can't you fit it all in your budget? Well, we've been under some state school funding controls since 1993, and that has caught up with us as well. We are taking approximately $1.5 million out of the next 3-year budgets to address our teacher compensation plan, but given the state cost controls that we operate within, we simply don't have additional funds to pay for this plan. And the way the state law is written, in order for public schools to raise additional funds, we have to go to our local taxpayers and ask for it in a referendum. Also, while we're growing as a school district, like many districts in Dane County, we're not growing fast enough to bring in enough money to pay for our teacher compensation plan. If we were growing fast enough to pay for our teacher compensation plan, we would likely be asking for more referendum money to build space for students. So it's almost a catch-22 situation. This last chart identifies the tax impact on community members. And we have a tax impact calculated for 2 different home values. First at $100,000 worth of home value, and we know there's not a lot of homes in the Oregon School District that are valued at $100,000, but it helps you do the math real easy. On a $100,000 home, the annual tax impact is around $38. We initially looked at this and it was around $45, but our tax base grew. We received that information just a couple of weeks ago, so we made an adjustment. It dropped from 45 to 38, which isn't significant, but it's still a drop because there are more people in our community paying taxes as there's more homes in the community. In terms of a monthly impact, that's just over $3. The average home in the Oregon School District is around $250,000. Now we know homes go up in value every year or in some cases stay the same, and in some cases they may drop a little in value. So this is what I'll call a rolling average. The rolling average on a $250,000 home is right around $100. Again, if your home appreciates in value, it will be a little more than $100. If your home doesn't appreciate in value or drops a little bit, it will be a little under $100. This is station number 6, and it shows the referendum ballot question along with a slide on next steps and additional information. You'll notice it's a long question. It's written by referendum attorneys, and the key part is it provides authorization to the school board to exceed the revenue limit. That's the state mandated control that we operate within. And it does that, we have to identify the dollar amount. The dollar amount is $1.5 million a year for recurring purposes, which means it goes on year after year after year. And the purpose is for paying employee compensation for teachers and other educational staff. The other educational staff means teacher-like positions like school social workers, school counselors, speech and language clinicians, school psychologists that don't have a classroom like a classroom teacher, but are identified as educational staff. None of the money would be spent or would go for administrative salaries or raises. That's completely different. This is just for our teaching staff. And then lastly, our last slide is, if you want more information, we have a wealth of information on our district website. We also have an email set up that if you have a question, you can send us an email, and within 24 hours, we will get you an answer to your email. And then, of course, my office number as well as my personal email. You're welcome to call me 24/7. I'm not there 24/7, but you can call and I will check on it, or sending me an email. And our goal is to get as much information out to the community so community members and voters can make the best decision possible on the referendum election on November 8th.